Hello students, in this lecture we are going to see chapter 10 gravitation. At the end of this session we will be knowing about fluids, buoyant force and principle of buoyancy, which is Archimedes principle and relative densities. First we have to know what is fluid and what are all comes under fluid. Fluids are the substance which has molecules loosely bound. We all familiar with the three states of matter: solid, liquid and gases. Solid is composed of tightly bound molecules. Liquid and gases are the two substances which composed of loosely bound molecules, right? Therefore, we can say liquids and gases are fluids. Therefore, all liquids and gases are fluids. It has no fixed shapes and capable of flowing and change its shapes accordingly. These are all the conditions for which the substance acts as a fluid. Water, oil, gases are the examples for fluids. Here is the example for the third point of the previous slide. Here, water is filled in a bottle, beaker, container and a jug. The shape of the water changes according to the containers. We are in need to know the difference between solids and fluids in order to get a better understanding in so forth topics. We all familiar with the statement that solid has weight. Assume that we are going to keep a big stone on the table. The surface of the table experiences a pressure because of the weight of the stone which is placed onto it. Fluid also possesses the same property. Assume that we are going to pour some amount of water into a container. Now the base and walls of the container experiences a pressure, since the pressure is transmitted in all directions. What is buoyant force? Assume that we thrown a ball to a bucket of water. Everyone knows that if we throw any substance, it will fall under the influence of gravity. But in this case, the ball floats on the surface of the water. Why? This happens because fluids obeys the principle of buoyancy. The word buoyancy is nothing but it represents an upward thrust. The ball experiences an upward pushing force which is against to the direction of gravitational pull. That is why the ball floats on the surface of the water. This statement is relevant in case of ball. Does for every object it is suitable? Really not. Let us do a simple experiment on verifying the principle for which kind of substances it suits for. Take a bucket of water. Put a cork and nail into it. Here you can see the nail sinks and cork floats. Why? Because of the gravitational pull acts on the nail, it get attracted towards down. The upward thrust or buoyant force acts on the cork, so it floats. Of course, the nail also experiences the upward thrust and cork also experiences a gravitational pull. Then why cork floats, nail sinks? Here is the reason. The upward thrust will be greater for the cork and the gravitational pull will be greater for the nail. The basic science behind this experiment is the object has less density than the liquid's density, it floats. The object has high density than the liquid density, will sinks. From this statement it is clear that the density of the object have to be less than the density of the liquid in order to float. The concept of buoyancy experimentally determined by a scientist Archimedes. The principle states that when a body is immersed partially or fully in a liquid, it experiences an upward force, which is nothing but the upward thrust which we have seen in the previous slides. And this upward thrust is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. Assume that we are having a beaker of water. We are going to immerse our hand into it. In the first beaker, we immersed single finger alone into a beaker. The level of the liquid increases. In the next beaker, we have immersed 2 fingers. Further, it is increased. In the final beaker, we have immersed all our 5 fingers into it. The water displaced will be equal to the weight of the fingers immersed to it. This proves the Archimedes principle. Take a spring balance and suspend a stone. Note the weight of the stone initially. Now we are going to immerse the stone into a beaker containing water. Now you can observe that the suspension thread is minimum as we immersed the stone into the beaker. This happens because the action of buoyancy force acting opposite to the direction of gravitational pull. The displaced water will be equivalent to the weight of the stone, which we have measured initially. Ships and submarines are based on Archimedes' principle. Relative density. First, what is density? It is nothing but the ratio of mass to volume, which means density is equal to mass by volume. Unit is kilogram per meter cube. Students always cover unit along with the concepts. Density is equal to mass by volume. What is meant by relative density? Relative density is equal to density of substance by density of standard. It is very easy to understand if we look at an example. Assume that we immerse an object into water containing in a beaker. Now we can able to calculate the relative density by finding the ratio of density of the object by density of the water. Now let's look a problem related to relative density. Now relative density of silver is given as 10.8 and the density of water we know 10 to the power 3 kilogram per meter cube. And they are asking us to find the density of the silver in SI units. Now we know the formula that relative density is equal to density of the substance by density of the medium. Here we don't want to find the relative density. They are asking us to find the density of silver, right? Just do rearrange the formula. Density of silver is equal to relative density of silver into density of water. Therefore, 10.8 into 10 to the power 3 kilogram per meter cube will be the final answer. Hope you all understand this lecture. Thank you for watching.